What up, people? It's your boy, and we're going to be talking about in the world of sports. It seems like on Tuesday's episode of First Things First, Chris Broussard, a slip of the tongue, described Nick Wright and used the R word towards Nick Wright when they were debating about James Harden being traded to the Clippers and how effective he's going to be with the Clippers. And Chris Broussard used the R word. Now, instantly, he apologized, using the R word. And if he would have just left it like that, I think it would have been fine and dandy. I don't think this would have went totally viral. I do feel like there's a lot of media personalities out there that has an axe to grind with Chris Broussard because of his religious beliefs and views. TY Sports made a video yesterday talking about this ain't the first time Chris Broussard said something very controversial on live television. I felt like if he would just apologize and move forward, of course, Nick Wright didn't take offense to it. Kevin Wiles didn't take offense to it. Anyone in the studio didn't really take offense to it. But then he immediately, after apologizing, gave this excuse, saying that I shouldn't have used the R word. My cousin is having mental issues and things of that nature, and I felt like that backstory, that's private. Should have kept that to himself. I don't think stuff that you're going through with your family should be disclosed publicly to all of us. I felt like that should have been kept under lock and key, because that's something that you're dealing with as an individual in a private setting. But to me, I didn't really take offense to Chris Broussard. It's just one of those days. His emotion got the best of him, particularly when Nick Wright says a lot of off the wall, outlandish stuff to make his argument valid. But I didn't, was offended by it. And, anyone that's dealing with this, if they were offended by it, of course, Chris Broussard immediately apologized for it. I didn't think this was a huge news story, but if you go on the interwebs, there's countless articles talking about this. Like I said, recently, TY Sports made a piece on it on their YouTube channel, highlighting, the low lights of Chris Broussard when he said controversial things. To me, it's not a big deal. It's not a hill of beans. He did apologize, and we should just simply move on. So in other, sports, news, seemed like Brandon Marshall is pretty much, Brandon Marshall, is getting tired of the old song and dance of Shannon Sharpe. He said in a recent podcast, Shannon Sharpe is, pretty much taking the same tactics that Stephen A. Smith used and Skip Bayless used when they are attacking athletes. And he feels like, that's kind of fake and that's kind of phony. And basically, Brandon Marshall is taking offense to how, Shannon Sharpe critiques a lot of players. Now, I will say this. Shannon Sharpe has been using this tactic way before going to ESPN First Take. He used to do this earlier with Undisputed, particularly with athletes, when he critiques athletes. Now, Brandon Marshall says there's a way to critique an athlete's play or the athlete in general without insulting them. And we all know back in the early days of ESPN First Take, when Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, they were pretty much the originators of bashing athletes, calling Chris Bosh Spice, stay off the weed, all this, the Kwame Brown takes that Stephen A. Smith utilized. And To me, they were the originators of this, and they birthed a lot of these guys, this shock jock mentality. And Jalen Rose took offense by it. And Jalen Rose, basically said that they're not busts because not a lot of people can play in the leagues that, like the NBA, the NFL, nobody just can't just go into the NBA and the NFL and be very successful there or even have a career in those leagues. All right. So, Stephen A. Oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. Jalen Rose was first on the mountain by himself. And then that's when a lot of personalities and former athletes, started to land on this island and took offense to a lot of these journalists. And this is the first, and Brandon Marshall pretty much said, Shannon Sharp, he should know better. He's cut from the same cloth as a lot of these athletes. And he should understand that the things that these journalists, as well as Shannon Sharp, is doing, it can hurt someone's bread or their career down the road if you are continuously attacking them. And I remember Steve Smith made a comment on a receiver saying that he shouldn't be in the league and this, that, and the third. And he took it very personal. And at times I have heard Shannon Sharp take things very personal. And, Brandon Marshall is taking offense to how Shannon Sharp is doing on ESPN First Take. Now, Shannon Sharp has not, elaborated or commented on what Brandon Marshall said. And I watched I watched Nightcap. I watched ESPN First Take. I watched Club Shay Shay. Really, he hasn't attacked Brandon Marshall's view on him, so we'll have to wait and see on that. And we're just gonna move on to the next topic. The next order of business, we're gonna be talking about Fox Sports 1. And Fox Sports 1, they're trying to find their way. And as they're finding their way and the influx of new people appearing on Undisputed, their rate is hurting their ratings. Now, I said a month ago that a lot of the afternoon shows on Fox Sports 1 has been killing it in the ratings. The only two shows that are not killing it in the ratings is the Carson Show and Undisputed. And that got me to thinking, I think it would be best if Undisputed, Skip Bayless Undisputed, instead of trying to premiere around the time First Take premieres, I think they need to take the Carson Show old time slot. Well, I'm talking like past tense to the Carson Show, like it's already canceled. But if you look at the writing on the wall, the Carson Show has not been living up to its standards. I mean, they could keep it. They could always move it later on in the afternoon. But I'm thinking Undisputed needs to come on a little bit earlier. That way, like 2 hours earlier, possibly. Maybe an hour and 40 minutes earlier. But definitely around the time the Carson Show premieres. So you can get a head start in the ratings. And when First Take do come on, yeah, you're going to lose a lot of your subscribers, a lot of your ratings, because First Take came on. But at least you can benefit by in your ratings and your viewership. Some people may just stay on and just keep the television glued to Undisputed, and you're going to have others that are Shannon Sharp fans, ESPN fans. They're going to gravitate to First Take, no matter what they do. But I feel like that's a good idea. And for Fox Sports 1, Undisputed, and Skip Bayless coming on maybe 2 hours earlier before First Take. I think that's a good concept, a good idea. You know, if someone from Fox Sports 1 is listening to this conversation, or if, Skip Bayless is happening to listening to this conversation, by all means, just take it. I think that's a great idea. Okay? So, in other sports-related news, it seems like, to me, y'all guys know that I'm a huge Dallas Cowboy fan. I'm not going to sit up here and lie and say that I'm not, but I'm more of a objective kind of Dallas Cowboy fan. We're 5-2. Life is good. And everyone is upset that, including Skip Bayless, that the Dallas Cowboys didn't make any moves during, with the NFL trade deadline. And I feel like it would have been great if they would have gotten another corner. You know, maybe some more help on the offensive line. But if there's no, corner that's going to put you over the top, your main corner is injured, Stephon Diggs. I just don't think you should, be seriously splurging draft picks for a rental. Like I say, they're 5-2. It seems like to me, on the outside looking in, they may have a possibility of, just staying status quo and at least being into the playoffs. I just don't think there's anything out there that's worth splurging draft picks on for a rental. And so I just don't, I disagree with Skip Bayless. Sometimes the best decisions are the decisions that you don't make. And we have done this in recent history where we would get someone at the trade deadline, and then it falls flat. The wheels just fall right off the truck, all right? So it's not a guarantee that getting someone in before the trade deadline means that we're going into the playoffs and possibly into the Super Bowl, okay? So just wanted to say that real fast and real quick. So in other news, Jalen Rose had some interesting takes and comments about the NCAA, particularly when it comes to football and basketball, their most popular sports, the most lucrative sports, as far as financing goes. Those are the sports that rake in the big money. And he was on this podcast and he talked about how it's pretty much like slavery. Like, it seemed like, particularly with college, the NCAA is, making it kind of difficult for college athletes that are playing college football and college basketball to go instantly into the next level, into the league. And he also talked about his earlier comments on ESPN, how he was pretty much a pioneer of saying eventually the NCAA is going to have to change their way. You just can't just simply say, they're going to have to start paying these athletes, particularly when it comes to college football and college basketball. And that's what they ultimately are doing now. And it just can't be just, they don't need to pay them because they gave them a scholarship. Okay? And when you look at these big time these blue chippers, there's a reason why they're stars on that level, and not just anybody can be in the NCAA. So Jalen Rose pretty much said that on this recent podcast that it's if you look at their rules and regulations, it's almost similar to like slavery. They can't pick and choose when they can leave. They don't really have no freedom, no flexibility. Now the finances, particularly with college basketball and college football, has completely shifted and changed in what they used to do back in the day. And there are more options, but with the NBA, it's one and done. And he feels like college football should do the same thing. Now, there's a lot of people out there that say that a lot of these players that are stars, particularly with college football, a college football player can't just transition into the NFL just by just playing 1 year of college, because they're not fully developed. And there's stats that's proving this. They're not fully developed. They don't get the full concept of how fast the NFL is. And this, that, and the third. To me, if you are dominating and if your stock is rising and you are tremendously valuable and you got influence, then why not move on to the bigger leagues if you want to go there? So that was Jalen Rose and his take on college sports. And the other college sports, such as swimming, badminton, gymnastics, track and field, softball, baseball, those sports, even though those are not, they may be popular in some areas, but they're not really successful financially. They have a lot of freedom with their players. Their players can pretty much make money while playing in that sport, and they're not locked in or tied in to play multiple seasons, and this, that, and the third. So I get Jalen Rose's point, his argument. I do feel like if we was living back in 1980, 1970, 1980, or possibly 1990, he would have an argument. But if you look at college sports today, it is completely different. A lot of these athletes are killing it, not only in their sport but on social media. Angela Reese, she is killing it, money wise. And I think I read an article where she can't even attend her classes. She had to do her classes, online, because she's hugely popular. She can't even walk around the campus. Okay, so that's how big of a personality she is at LSU. So, yeah, I think times are changing, and they're changing in the right way for college sports. Well, that's all the topics I got for today. Please hit the comment section if you want me to do a slew of videos in one session, or do you want me to break these videos down? I feel like doing it this way is a lot more easier. It takes a lot more time editing and things of that nature, but having one video out with a bunch of topics versus some smaller topics, tell me how you feel about this concept. Guys, I'm up out of here. I will talk to you guys later. Deuces.